Assalamu alaikum and welcome to today's episode of Reset with Nadeem Khan. Uh, Thank you for joining us today. Please do comment on where you are joining from. Today is a special day. Apart from it being my birthday, I wanted to first recap what we have done in the initial 4 episodes of Reset. So we started off with understanding what mindfulness is and how can you be more resilient, and that was our initial episode for Reset, and we then moved on towards understanding how you find your passion in life, and then we moved towards understanding the changes in the careers. And yesterday we talked about technology and its impact, and that kind of has catapulted us to understanding what are the new skills that are required in the 21st century, especially with the COVID hit. And today we have a very special guest, a person who is as close as a mentor to myself. I'd like to introduce, before introducing him, I want to clarify why the purpose of this program. So the program is basically for those people, for everyone who is suffering currently from COVID, all those people who have either graduated or are looking to graduate and looking to find a career path, career transition in their life. Some senior people who've been laid off or who feel that they are laid off. What are the current skills that they might start to embrace in this in today? So our guest today is Dr. Muddassir Ahmed, and I'd like to introduce Dr. Muddassir. He's a global speaker, blogger, and supply chain industry expert. Dr. Muddassir Ahmed has received his PhD in management sciences from Lancaster University Management School. Muddassir is a Six Sigma black belt and has founded SCM Dojo with .com with the intention to enable supply chain professionals and supply chain teams to solve the problems they face in their jobs and business. So let me welcome Dr. Muddassir. Hello, Dr. Muddassir. How are you? Thank you for joining us.
I'm fine. Hi, Nadeem. How are you? Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Jazakallah. Very nice for you. Very nice to be with you today. Great to have you. How's Dubai treating you?
My pleasure. Thank you for being a fantastic series. I've seen few.
I think we've. Hello? I think we're having a technical difficulty.
Sorry.
Hello, sorry. I can hear you now. I can hear you.
Good.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
So I was trying to say you're running a fantastic program here and helping people out. So well done for that.
Thank you. So Dr. Muddassir has joined us all the way from Dubai. He has immense experience. That's an extra introduction. He has almost 20 years of experience, both in academia and practitioner insights. One thing that I admire highly about is the passion that Dr. Muddassir brings in, and I think the intellectual capability and the insights. So every time that I have faced a problem, I've always reached out to him, and he's been, I would say, very, very much passionate and positive to reply me. And one of the reasons why I actually entered into people analytics is because of this guy, Dr. Muddassir. So I have much to thank him for obviously receiving a distinction in that area. But there are people who give you the initial push. So I'm very much thankful to him. So let's start the show. The first question. So what I think you have listened to where we've reached is to understand currently what's happened is that, just let me share this screen. So we were looking at some of the research by the World Education Forum, right? And they said that in 2020, these are some of the skill sets that we would require. Now, the problem that we're having is you've been an academic plus a practitioner, and you understand that people getting out of university lag a lot of these skills. So what are the
Hmm.
what are the reasons, if you can explain to us, and if you can give your insights or your foresights, I would say, more or less, okay, what will be the
Yeah.
skills apart from these 10 skills? We can bring the screen on again if you want me to, but
No, I
I
can
would
see this.
okay, so I just remove this right now so that you're in front of the in front of the audience, and if you can give us so if let's say if I'm an HR practitioner, if I'm a supply chain, we know that you help a lot of people with your platform or with your community, I would say, more or less, and you have I think a global community of 10,000 plus people involved. How are you helping them? What are the techniques, or what are the tools, or what are the insights that you give to them, if you can explain?
Yeah, so I will answer this your question in two parts, because I think you specifically ask about what is the key skills need by the university graduates. So for them, I would say is when they come out of the university, what they know is a theory. So whatever they've been done the graduation on, it could be marketing, HR, supply chain, whatever. So this is what they know. And unfortunately, any I have not seen any universities who actually trains people on the skills you have actually shown, right? There is a very famous quote from Dale Carnegie, which he says about your success. It depends on 75% on your, let's call it, soft skills, and only 25% on your technical skills. And E is very much true, right? So I'm going to answer this question in two parts. So first, for
Okay.
graduates, so what I would say to graduates is what you only have is a university knowledge, theoretical knowledge, right? Do well as much as possible to acquire, because once you go into the practical world, you will not have enough time to read the books, do the research and things like that. So do this, and trying to find any entry level job, whatever you get. So don't
Okay.
and actually I've seen people just freshly graduates, for whatever reason they are picky. I don't know why they think they're too good for the world. Maybe yes, but they shouldn't be, right? They need to pick whatever jobs they have got, because
Yes.
I can tell you this right now. I mean, I have done engineering. If I am right now 18 years old, 19 years old, if I'm mentoring myself how much I know about me, I would never do engineering, right? I did engineering because that was the cool thing to do at that point in time. Because
Okay.
everybody used to go to NED University, I went to NED University, right? But that's what was not me. The problem is that being a graduate, when you are 20, 21, you don't know yourself very much.
Yes.
So the suggestion I would say is this: okay, for your father have, because recently my friend actually said when I was UK, oh, go and mentor my kids. He was doing a major in bachelor's in finance, but tell him about supply chain. I said it's not about, I cannot tell him supply chain, because if you read 3 books of supply chain, you will know everything you need to know. If I want to understand people analytics, with due respect,
Yeah.
I will read 3 books. I would know
Yes.
as much as you know. So
Yes.
that part is not a difficult part.
Yes.
Difficult part is knowing yourself. So the suggestion I would say is when you're a young graduate, know yourself.
Amazing.
Know what you're good at. What is your passion, right? And as I have this in the back, do what you love. But at the early age, you don't know what you love. So figure that out, right? For example,
Amazing.
what I
Amazing.
love right now is being entrepreneurial, being creative, create original stuff, share knowledge. This is what I
Mm.
think I'm good at, and I really
Yes.
want to do it. So that's
Yes.
one part. So you understand where I'm going with this. So get
Yes.
any job. So what I'm the reason I'm emphasizing get any job, because it will help you to know yourself, right?
Mm. Mm.
A true story of a friend. I'm not going to name him, but I'm going to share this video with him, because he spent 4 years in engineering with me, right?
Yeah.
He was pride to be bottom of the class. I'm not joking. So
Okay.
he said, I'm gonna do the top from the bottom. He went to the tech, we graduated in textile industry. He went to the factory. He spent 6 hours in the textile factory, and after that, he come home and told his parents, "I'm not going to work in textile industry." So, spending 4 years in the education, in one day he decided he will not study. He will not going to work in textile industry because it wasn't for him.
Yeah.
Then what happened? He sat at home for 1 year, 1.5 year, do the preparation of the MBA in finance. Now he's a VP or in the banking, making a lot of money. The point is, this 4 years he could have saved it if somebody would have mentored him correctly.
True. True. Very
Right?
true. Very true.
That's the point I'm making. Okay, now I'm going to move to the more experienced people. So let's assume you go into industry, you have spent 5 years, 10 years.
Yes.
Even I, because I do career mentoring coaching, as a as a regular basis. I
Yes.
have if you go to SM Dojo, there's a link there. Somebody wants to get a career coaching is there anyway. Is a paid link. The one of the most common group which comes to me that they have spent 5 and 7 years, right, and they are not progressing enough. So basically,
Mm.
they want to be supply chain managers, directors, whatever, and they are not progressing fast enough,
Yes.
right? So they have actually three problems, three common
Yeah.
problems, right?
Great.
So the three common problems they have, being a supply chain problem. First, again, they have changed jobs too much, right? Because
Okay.
they are looking to grow and grow. Second problem they have is they have not become master in one area, whatever the area is. If you own supply chain, stay in supply chain. If you own procurement, stay in procurement. If you own HR analytics, stay in HR analytics. And the third is they have not worked on their soft skills, right? They have not developed how to present a CV. They have not worked on how to basically present to people, right?
Great.
Hence, therefore, and many other issues because they don't know
Yes.
how to network at the same time as well,
Yes.
right? So this is the three common themes I have seen in mentoring them, right?
And most
So
of
when
them
I
lead
mentor
towards the softer skills.
softer skills, so my own personal experience of where I'm. So, for example, if I want to know about myself, I don't see myself becoming a C level in a corporate world, right? Because that requires a huge level of, let's call it, political skills. And for
Mm.
me, I can't be bothered because that's just not me, right? I
Mm.
rather focus on driving the business, improving the business, deploying the strategy, transforming the business. That's my skill, right?
Mm.
I'm not a political maniac, right? But if
Mm.
you go into big corporations, MNCs, Fortune 500, the people who are actually VPGMs are not the most technically gifted people. They are
Mm.
probably not the best leaders, right?
Mm.
They
Mm.
are not probably the most best people person. What they are
Mm.
actually very good at, they are very good in organization politics. But that's a separate topic. So ignore
Mm.
that part, right?
Mm.
So coming back to the people who are 7 to 8 years, middle part of the career, what they have to do. So what I seen, there are four common problems, right? I used to have a triangle, but now with the COVID and stuff, I'll say is a square.
Okay.
So if you are want to boost your career, you need to acquire four things. First, you need to acquire your technical knowledge. So if you work in HR, marketing, supply chain, IT, manufacturing, whatever, your technical knowledge is a hygiene factor. So if you work in HR, you need to know how to build the organizational structure, how to do create engagement,
Mm.
how to basically set the goals of the team, etc., etc.
Okay.
Then the second most important part you need to understand is the soft skills. Soft skills, I mean, communication is very important, right? Both one to one through the use of emails, whatever the electronic communication channels are, right? You need to be a very good communicator, crisp and sharp. If you're gonna talk too much, people will not understand. Be bright, be brief, be gone.
Mm.
The third is a leadership skill. So what I mean by leadership skills, you have to be a genuine leader. You have to be creative. You have to lead by example, right? You have to be visionary. Whatever how level you work, you need to have a vision where you want to go, right?
Yep.
And the fourth, I would say, is the knowledge of technology, right? So
Mm.
right now, knowledge of technology is important, right? Everybody is using those buzzwords like blockchain. I was doing a project recently, and somebody come back to me, oh, why can't you use the blockchain? I said, guys, we do not have a system to go online right now to
Yes.
interface with customers. Do not throw the buzzwords in.
Yes.
Blockchain, it, there is not even a proper technology available right now. Government, people spending a lot of money because people hear those words, right? But they don't know how to use it. Nothing wrong is using the buzzwords, but it has to be used in the right context.
Right.
So people are worried right now. I would say four. If you have time, I think you have the skills you have presented is pretty nice. So also spend this. So your technical competence is fine. It's giving. You need to know that. So if you don't have technical skills, you should not be turning up for a job anyway, right?
Yes.
Focus on improving your soft skills and which includes the presentation skills, because presentation skills is essentially going to make or break. Because if you want good jobs, you are meeting very important people, and those important people do not have time, right?
Okay.
Let me tell you a fact, and you're a HR professional, and your audience is HR professionals, right? And I have a sometimes debate with them as well. As a hiring manager, most people, as soon as, for example, if I'm going for, or if I'm interviewing somebody, and people are coming to interview, as an interviewee,
Mm.
and as soon as they enter the door, they walk in, they shake my hand, and they sit down. They smile, not smile, right? Within that 7 seconds, I have made up my mind, I'm going to hire this person or not. Within these 7 seconds.
Yes.
You would argue that's unfortunate, that's not true. But that's essentially the fact of life because the world is built on perception,
Yes. Yes.
unfortunately.
Yes,
Right.
we were talking
So
about this just yesterday. We were talking exactly about this, that CV itself is just 5% of probably the tool that hiring managers use. And it's just sad because HR has created this kind of misuse of CV where you're shortlisted just because of a CV. But I think 95% is what you've mentioned is about meeting the person, having that persona, the overall persona, and all these factors that you've mentioned, which are very important: the hygiene, the soft skills, leadership skills. I'm just wrote and writing them down. The leadership skills and the knowledge around technology, which are very very important. So I think I think because we're time stipulated and you also have another call, let's start taking in some questions. We have a lot of people who are watching this. So anyone who is
okay.
watching, can you please ask any question that you have for Dr. Muddassir? There is obviously a time delay, so by the time we get questions, we it may be like 30-second delay. But anything else, Dr. Saab, that you want to add to our conversation? So I think we're having a bit of technical difficulty. If any one of you has any questions, please do ask. We're awaiting.
Sorry, folks. Yes,
Thank you for rejoining us. Thank you.
come back again. So what? Yeah, what's the question? So do you have any questions?
We had some technical difficulties, so we've got you back. We haven't had any questions so far. So one of the questions that I think that a lot of people face is that they become stagnant, right? And I think this was before we started off the session. We were asking that a lot of people are getting laid off. So do you have any what are the skill sets that may be required now? So there's a question by Hafsa Gul: what technical skills can HR people develop in the mid level of their careers? So if we can answer this as a general question, what technical skills can people develop in the mid level of their careers? Not just HR, but obviously there will be other people. If you can give us a general from a supply chain, HR, or management perspective, please.
Right. So the question is how you develop the technical skills in your mid level of your career, right? So there is various ways you can acquire that. So when I mean what technical skills means, if you're a marketing person, you need to know about what are the market trends are, which is digital marketing mainly, influencer marketing and all that. So if you're a HR person, then you need to know what is the current HR trends in terms of hiring. Maybe right now recruiting through LinkedIn is more beneficial. So you need to know how to go about in doing that. So whatever job function you are in, maybe supply chain, so you need to learn about your materials management skills, so on and so forth. So how you acquire it, there's a plenty of resources available. There is a lot of material on the internet. Just go and learn it, and actually self-assess yourself. So within the whatever job function you are in, then self-assess what is the knowledge gap. Let me give you an example. If you go to my blog, Simdujo, I have a tool. In tools, I have the self-assessment of materials management. So if somebody works in materials management, he or she can go in and self-assess themselves in the 76 questions on the things like supply scheduling, demand planning, etc., or capacity planning, and they would know what knowledge gaps they have. So once they know the knowledge gaps, they go and just Google it or find the material to read it, and that would apply to any functions actually. So Nadeem, I know we have discussed this, right?
Yes.
That
Yes.
as a HR professional, there is a certain skill sets required, right? And
Yes.
actually,
Yes.
you are the expert. You can tell me, you can answer Hafsa better than me, right? There's a
Okay.
set of skills you need,
Yes.
and there is a self-assessments available.
Yes.
So
Yes.
self-assess yourself, which will identify the gap. So I have a very one more important point to make at this point. I think the convention school the conventional method of education is obsolete. What I mean
Yes.
by that is that you go to university, you sit in a class, professor comes in, they teach you with a slide, and you take the knowledge, and you probably don't know you're going to use it or not.
Yes.
I think that is obsolete. What is right now? So our college is a push learning. What I think right now, what is important is a pull learning. So you develop an interest, whatever your interest is,
Mm.
right? You go and self-assess yourself, identify the gaps in the knowledge, because you might know some stuff which you don't think you know, right?
Mm.
And then once you know what you do not know, go and find the knowledge. So using the self skills is a very good very good tool.
Amazing, amazing. This is exactly similar to a conversation I was having yesterday with a team of HR people. The initial, when we do an evaluation, this is probably a learning evaluation. The concept of it, I think, linking back to Hafsa's question, is you need to know what you're weak at. If you don't know what you're weak at, you're just going to be learning everything, and you're going to waste a lot of time. And at this point in time, I'm seeing a lot of people. They're just um, I think eating away lots and lots of online learning programs. It shouldn't be like that. It should be like, if you can evaluate yourself. I think Dr. Muddassir has pointed out a um, very, I would say, interesting fact about education, which is a key towards excelling in that specific field. If you know what you want to do, then you're very closer to achieving your passion. Coming back to these skills, if I add this screen on again, having these skills, I believe that one of this, how can we ensure that by the time we're out of university, we can get these skill sets? Are there any programs? I don't feel that these skills can be taught through like online programs. Let's talk about complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, people management, coordinating with others, emotional intelligence, judging and decision making, service orientation, negotiation, and cognitive flexibility. Can you help us with identifying some sort of area where we can look at, or anything that we can do to ensure that all these skills, or some of them, maybe we can achieve by the time we've graduated?
I mean, I'm fortunate enough to get education in three different countries, and you know my
Yes.
story, right?
Yes.
I hardly paid in any fees in NED. I was full scholarship in Chalmers, and my PhD was funded by my company. So I'm one of those
Yes.
lucky people who hardly has to spend money. People spend money, I don't know why, but they do. They should do that. But the point I'm saying is this. So look at your slide. I'm gonna pick two headlines there.
Okay.
I'm going to pick critical thinking, and I'm going to pick what was the one is the critical
Sorry.
thinking, and
I'll just bring it up.
can you
I'll
show
bring
this
it up
again?
again. Yeah.
Yeah, bring
I'll
it
bring it
again.
up again.
So complex critical thinking and judgment and decision making, right? So you go back
Okay.
to full of us, right? So
Okay.
if we pick these two, so regardless in which part of the world you are, right, regardless of which university you have gone, so just assume you're doing, and regardless what program you are studying, right,
Yes.
just think about, you finish your degree, how the hell you gonna practice critical thinking? How the hell you gonna practice
Yes.
judgment and decision making? Because you are not in a position to either make any decisions, or you're not, you cannot be judging anything, because you're just a fresh graduate.
Yes.
And critical thinking comes with a lot of reading, and it comes with a lot of right experience. So once you're 20, 21 years old, there is a very limited application of critical thinking, right? So what we, I think, need to do is this: that from this picture you've shown, we need to identify. So from the skill, the 10, all 10 are
Yes.
important. So
Yes.
for example, the critical thinking and the decision making and judgment is very important from mid, if you're a mid level manager and onwards. It's super important. If you cannot think critically, and if you cannot make the decision based on judgment, then you should not be a people manager, right? And
Great.
if you do not practice important emotional intelligence, sorry, which someone like me personally struggles at times, because I'm a high energy person, because I know that is emotional intelligence is a skill which I do not have. So I have to work hard to understand what does emotional intelligence means, and then work hard to actually apply on my day-to-day basis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whilst I'm doing that, which is against my nature, I want to make sure that I do not lose my own personality. So
Mm-hmm.
all the 10 are valid. Well, what we need to guide to people is from those 10 skills, what you want to apply early on in your career. So if you go back to your skills again, please.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So I would, if the graduate is coming, then I would say just focus on people management,
Mm.
right? Of course, learn emotional intelligence. Complex problem solving is important. So let's talk about complex. What I mean by complex problem solving.
We
There's
do have
plenty of
two
tools.
more. We do have two more questions, just to
Okay,
let you know.
let's
Okay,
let's
because
take that.
you have limited time. I'm just cautious about your time as well.
Yeah. Let's take
So,
two more
so
questions. I
we
can stay over a
so
bit. Yeah.
we have a question from Naseem Anwar. He says the future is likely to include working from home. What are the tips for adjusting one's mindset for working remotely? And now we're getting lots of questions. So this is one
No, no.
from.
Let's
So
let's
what are the
finish all the
tips?
questions, right? I can WhatsApp and change my other meeting, but because we're not going to do this often, right? So let's make the most of this,
Okay.
right? If as long as we have questions. So good
Okay.
question. I think working from home is a common questions I have. So let me tell you what I have done, right?
Yeah.
And because I have this bad habit of staying up late and then waking up late. So what I've done is I had to make sure when I'm working home, I have my own space. You can see I have my own table, desk. I have to buy this chair, which I didn't have. I definitely have a schedule. I wake up on the time I want to wake up, and I continue to work at the time I want to finish. No distractions. So I'm not just working out, buying stuff for my family. I'm not doing that. I see my maybe kids once or twice, but again, I'm focused on the work, dedicated, very structured. So as long as you put a structure in your life, is going to be better. So you have to have like a cutoff point that after 7 p.m., for example, for me is the cutoff point. I shut the laptop down. I don't look into work, WhatsApp messages, right? And I spend time with my family, do whatever, right? So structure is important. That's first part. Second, I would say yes, get smarter and get better using technological tools. So for example, I have to actually watch some tutorials how to make the best use of Microsoft Teams and Zoom. Not promoting the tool, but this is the tool I use the most. So if I get better at it, then I can do more. So I've
Yes.
recently done a presentation using Zoom, and it was almost like a lecture, and people loved it. Actually, I could have not done better, because if I'm presenting physically one to one, I cannot highlight the spreadsheets and the presentation. When I was
Mm.
doing Zoom, then I was using the annotations and highlighting the pinpoint, and it was smooth. So for me, using Zoom for presenting, let's call it complex topics, is much easier than you in a big room, 20 people sitting. There's one screen, people hardly look, and they say, "Can you make the screen bigger?" Right? And I think it's better. So in some aspects, it's better as long as you have a discipline in place.
Okay, so there's another question by Sabah Javed. She's asking that when you discuss the three problems, the initial problems with fresh graduates, that the one being changing too much jobs, two being too much, and being not being able to master in a certain area. How do we maintain a balance in between and emerge successfully in our careers? How do you feel that they can, because she's obviously a fresh graduate, she's studying from IBA, and she's almost in her final year, so she's asking this question. Relevant.
Very good question. That shows somebody was listening and thinking, right? I would say is following: give yourself at least 18 months to figure out, right? So for fresh graduate, give yourself at least 18 months to figure out that the function you are in, or the job you are in, or the manager you are working for or the organization you are working for is not the one you want before you switch. Because but by what I'm saying is, while you're figuring yourself out, it doesn't mean you stop your research. Again, you go and meet people, still go for the interview, and let's appear in the interview and de-assess yourself, right? See,
Yes.
that's basically gives you the practice of what's going on. So do that, but give yourself 18 months, because if you leave after 18 months, then you know that you appeared for certain interviews, you met quite a few people, you met quite a few managers, you have a better practice to do a better job in the interviews,
Mm.
and then choose the organization of your choice. So that's my recommendation to that.
Amazing.
The second
Amazing.
one I want to give is this: be focused in choosing your organization. I know somebody say, I'm just a graduate, man. I've got no leverage on anybody to choose organization. But this is where the strategy comes in. So, for example, if somebody is offering me, let's call it a director supply chain job in a small organization with a lot of money, someone like me will not take it because I know I will struggle with the unstructured company. So what you do is make a list of, let's call it 20, 30 organization, and say, these are the companies I want to work for. I have a good reputation. There's a lot of positive comments about them on social media, and start connecting them on LinkedIn, start connecting them personally, meet them on the relevant people on the coffee, do the meetups, connect with the people like Nadeem, connect with them, understand the company, right? And let me tell you this, okay, it's from my personal experience. Good jobs, graduate jobs, of course, you can get by applying, etc.
Yes.
But the job which makes your progress can only come by knowing the right people. So, for example, I am in Dubai because I know the right person to come here, right? And so all the, let's call it, promotions I have, I knew it before I gonna get a job. I know it sounds like in UK say, oh come on man, there's a connections in there, but the thing is, this is how it works, unfortunately, right?
Yes.
That
Yes.
you
True.
need to have the network with the right people and build credibility. And I'm gonna give you one very very important tip, right? So how to build credibility? There's a four C's to build credibility, right? So first is be competent, which again is down to your technical skills, know your stuff, right? Second, be consistent. So do same thing over and over again. Third, be committed to the task. So whatever task you have been given, project you have given, you need to be committed. Don't leave it halfway. Finish it off. Make sure you have done it. And fourth, show concern of people and show it over the long period of time. So by doing these four things over the period of time, you build credibility, right? So why I'm making this is important for the graduate to do it, because if you keep changing jobs over the 3 months period, you're not going to build the credibility.
Yes.
You're
True.
just not. So
Very true.
to be credible, even as a graduate, you got to be consistent. You got to be committed. You cannot be consistent and committed in
Mm,
6 months or 12 months. It's
mm.
just not fair. For me, then you are a job hopper. I'm not going to give you a job because you're a job hopper.
Amazing. I mean, we've got lots of questions, and I think Stardust is coming out from Dr. Muddassir. So Shazia Yaqub, who is a chief operating officer, she's asking, do you believe there will be a big shift in corporate culture post COVID-19? How would middle manager, entry level managers adjust to the change in culture going forward? This is a very impressive question, and I think it's you being with a specialist in this area. What do you think about this?
Okay, so let's define organizational culture from a non-HR person like me, right?
Okay.
Organizational culture is basically, for me who had never studied in HR, is how the vision is set at the start of the company. And
Yes.
I'm fortunate to work for Japanese companies, American companies, Pakistani companies, right? And I can see, because the vision when the company was started was very different, therefore the cultures is very different, right? So as you know, the culture is always value based. A company, if does not have a values, is does not have a culture. Right. Now, coming back to answer the question, so we know what is culture is. The answer of the question is, I think if you are working in the organization which is I don't want to say, let's call it American, because Americans are very process driven, result
Okay.
driven, numbers driven, right?
Okay.
Uh, they are, I'm not going to use the word control freak, but they are control freak, right? They want
Okay.
to know everything what's going on, right?
Okay.
You're going to struggle, right?
Mm.
Because this is, I mean, if you take the Pakistan, I only work 1.5 years in Pakistan, not much, but what I've seen is this: that one person is in power, what he or she says goes. If that person goes, you got a problem, right?
Yeah.
So the so it's the right answer. If you, and I work with Japanese culture, for example, this is where it's a value based. That means you as a person are respected. You as a person trusted to deliver
Yes.
or empowered to deliver the value and the value they have taught. So it doesn't matter if I am in Florida on the beach, Karachi sitting in home, or in Dubai. As long as I get my job done, deliver the results, add the
Yes.
value, I'm cool.
Yes.
So so we need to understand the culture, understand where is your company direction is going post COVID.
Yes.
If your company culture is cool, working from home, deliver results, I'm fine. So I come from the school. If my team working from home get it done, that's fine. But I have just one simple rule. If I call you, right, or WhatsApp you, I need an answer very quickly. I don't care you're in toilet or you are dating with your girlfriend. I don't really care. You need to call me back fairly quickly, right?
Yes. Yes.
Because if I'm calling you, that means there's some shit is very important. You
Yes.
call me back.
Yes, I think it's very important. These are some of the things that also I firmly believe, and we've also touched some of these things on the book. Now, another question, which is from Aisha Chaudhary. She's the head of strategic workforce at NHS England. I'm keen to know how we can embed inclusive practice as part of restoration of COVID, address bullying and harassing and discrimination. I'm not sure how that links in, but I'll just repeat it. How can we embed inclusive practice as part of restoration of COVID? Now, after COVID, she's asking probably.
Oh, okay. One of the
It's a
most
tough
difficult
one.
question ever. One of the difficult question being asked. So, being a British passport holder and living 12 years in UK. First of all, let me say to Aisha, so well done for NHS people and congratulations for everyone who has supported. So hard job, well
Yes.
done. So congratulations to you being involved in any capacity. So well done, Aisha. There. So let me try to answer your questions if I understand correctly. I think you are asking two things. So one is being the, let's call it, inclusive in terms of post-COVID, how we're gonna work, because there will be some limitations, there will be some changes in how we do things, right? Because people need to come to work, it will happen, right? But I'm not a doctor, but what my little research is telling me, the pandemics like that, it's not come in one wave, it comes in 2 3 waves. So there will be a wave 2, maybe less intense, there will be wave 3 less intense, unless somebody will find the medicine for this, in which after the human trial, which takes 12 to 18 months or however long. So what will happen is, I think we need to adjust from mentality point of view, to understand and respect the limitations, right? For example, if you have to wear the mask and stuff, it's very difficult. We have to do this. If you have to have a social distance, it's very difficult. You have to do this. You have to adjust your norm and your practices, right? But I think on the other hand, this working from home and this technology help us achieving it. But there, unfortunately, there's certain task where the human interaction is a must. For
Mm.
example, if I'm a warehouse person, I need to go to the warehouse to basically pick product, right? If you are a doctor, if you are a medic person, you have to be in the hospital to do it. So this is around the, let's call it, because I'm also responsible for operations. The facilities people need to be super vigilant, that they have to implement, I will call it, a certain visual controls. So if you are working in the facilities, you have to implement a certain visual controls to direct people to keep the 2 meter distance, or basically wear the mask, do the sanitization. So the visual controls must be there,
Yes.
must be repeated, right? But then it comes to bullying and harassment. I mean, bullying, that part is always there. Because I'm a come from an aggressive school of thought, the way it is, if somebody gonna bully harass me, I'm gonna do it back and see what happens after
Yes. So I think
that.
it is a
Simple.
very complex question, but
Yeah, yeah.
nevertheless, thank you for the answer. And I think it depends. There are a lot of tools also. If I would add to this, with people analytics and with the technology, digital technologies, we can obviously now pinpoint where things are happening at what point in time, and how we can stop this bullying, harassment, and other things happening. We have two more questions. I'll just move to one of them is an HR question. Let me ask this one, which is not. If line manager is against an individual employee, so how employees receive promotion? If manager is against an employee, how does that employee receive promotion?
I have two famous blogs. If you search, just say if you search supply chain interview questions and purchasing interview questions, so they are most viewed blogs.
This is
So I'm gonna answer.
Zawar Muhyiddin's
Yeah, so I'm gonna
question.
answer the question. There is a famous quote, I don't remember from who. It says, "People do not leave their jobs, right? They actually leave their bosses, right?
Yes.
And you are not going to progress without the alignment and agreement of your boss. You're just not going to do it. And this is the unfortunate fact of life, right? So if your boss is not supporting you or aligning with you to support you with promotion, with your development, it is not going to happen. So if you really want to happen with make it happen within the organization you're working, you have to be aligned. If he or she doesn't personally like you, I would say tough luck, mate, and then you got to do whatever you need to do. Yeah. So the real fact is, if you want to grow, you have to work with your boss, tell him your career ambition plans, come up with a plan, and deliver that. So I'm fortunate enough to work with the bosses actually who has been supporting me, knowing my ambitions, knowing my plan, knowing my gaps, and helping me closing those gaps. So if you find those bosses who can help you, trust me, mate, they are gold dust. They are few and far between, right? Respect them and treat them. I was part of the leadership effectiveness program in my previous company, and one of the VP said is this, that if you do not respect the boss, if you don't think he is the one who can add value to your job and can teach you, leave it. Go, straight away, go and find a different job, right? And it's very important, if you're going for the interviews, you align your expectations from the boss. Ask tough questions. So ask this: what do you expect from me, right? And what should I can support I can expect for you? If a manager cannot answer this question, what support he can give it to you, it's not the right boss, is it?
Yeah, yeah. I think one of Zawar has also asked another question, which are two questions. So he's asked one, which is, if HR department is working late nights with pressure environment and no weekend holidays. That's just his. It's not even a question, but how other department employees could make work-life balance. And I think you've answered this before, where we need to have a schedule, we need to be focused and structured. So I think that's the answer. If you would want to add anything else to it, that's entirely your call. How we can make
Yeah,
work-life
but
balance.
I'm going to give a very important tip, right? So when I joined, this is the issue I have. So I have, as I said, five different promotions, different businesses I work for, and the issue I have was, as soon as I go, I have tons of things. Everybody thinks, hey, you got a new manager coming, a new employee coming, is very smart, whatever, got all the degrees in life, just give him all the problems, right?
Yeah.
And because they think they hired you to do that, because they're paying you to do that, and they think they're right to think they're paying you to do that, and you should do that. You could argue that, mate, come on, there's another 50 people, but why me? Because I'm just saying yes to everybody. So I'm going to give you two tips to manage this, right? I was reading about the other day about so the two tips to manage when you think you're overwhelmed with work. So I was reading about Warren Buffett and Jeff Bezos and people like them. One skill they are very good at, they are actually very good in saying no. Right? If you think there's something you should not do, not a responsibility, just say no, explain why. Second tip I want to give you is, as soon as the request is coming, problems are coming, actions items are coming, make a simple spreadsheet, 4 columns, put the date when it comes in, write the action items, write the status, complete, not complete, and small in terms of when you expect this to complete. List them down. And trust me on this, if you come up with the 60 of them, 50 of them, go to your manager and tell, mate, what do you want me to do? Which is the priority items? And I can guarantee you that your manager gonna struggle like hell to actually prioritize that, because he or she doesn't even know you are doing this, right? So as put this list together, ask
Yes.
to prioritize, then everybody know what you're doing.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. We've. I think this is a good close for us. It's hard for me to summarize our talk. It has been a pleasure. So we started off with what are the skill set, and you've actually gone very deep down. I'd just like to kind of sum up with saying that there is a lot to learn, and I think you're a true lifelong learner, and I think that's what I wanted to show to individuals, that even after a person who's done a PhD is constantly learning. I'm not saying struggling, but learning and growing, and as very passionate as yourself. And I think the quote resonates: "Do what you love." That would be a very good, I think, takeaway from today's session. And be
Just
passionate and evolve as we're growing. And I think the COVID is just um, hit us early on, but it's a good start to for change to happen, and the change needs to happen now. Thank you so much. Thank you, audience, for
Just
watching. Yes,
just final comment before you close, right?
yes,
Because you touch a very important word, learning, right?
yes.
How we know what to learn. So I asked him this question. You need to self-assess and do that. So one thing I learn about learning is if you learn something, share. That's why I do blogging. That's why I do vlogs, because anything I talked about and write, I don't necessarily master of it, right? I just wrote a blog on procurement, artificial intelligence procurement. Do I know anything about it? The answer was no. I just went ahead, did some learning, find 5 points, wrote a quick blog, and share my learning. So for me, sharing of knowledge is a process of learning. So do that. So
Amazing.
if you're someone who wants to new, so let's do this. And I have a, let's call it a challenge or a homework or a task for anybody or you guys, including you,
Yes,
Nadeem, right?
yes,
So if you can summarize this conversation into a blog of like 7 or 8 points I mentioned, right?
yes.
That's it. So you share your learning and you basically improve your own knowledge and you're sharing with other people is like a karma. The more you give, the more you get, my friend. Thank you very much for having me. I
Amazing,
appreciate that.
amazing. I'd like to thank the audience. I'd like to thank Dr. Muddassir for giving his time. And we will have our next session on Monday. Sunday is a break. Obviously, we have our next session same time. It's going to be 1 p.m. UK time, and the topic is leadership. We have another expert from the UK, Hira Ali, who will be joining us. And do stay tuned. And if you want to connect to Dr. Muddassir, my last question is, the people watching, there's a lot of people who've watched and would like to connect to you. What is the best platform to connect to you apart from scmdojo.com?
No, I think Asim Dujo, but if you just even Google my name, Dr. Mudassir, you will see my Twitter, which is Muddassir Ahmed, Instagram is Mudassirism, Twitter is Mudassirism, Facebook is Mudassirism. So Facebook select Mudassir
I think we have, uh, if, sorry,
Hi, sorry.
sorry.
Okay, last.
So how can people connect?
Yeah, so just Google my name. You will see my LinkedIn account is basically LinkedIn/Dr. Mudassir, and I have Facebook slash Mudassirism, Twitter slash Mudassirism, Instagram/Mudassirism. So if you just search Mudassirism, you'll just find me. Or just search my name.
That is amazing. Thank you once again, and thank you, the audience. We will be connected, inshallah, on Monday with the new topic, leadership. Thank you once again, Dr. Mudassir. We'll see you soon. Assalamu alaikum.